Wow, stories.
Aita for sending my wife an article on validation and then supporting her decision to help her estranged sister. Specifically, I sent her this article, and we had a discussion about it. I sent her this because she wasn't validating my emotions and how I felt about certain things when she disagreed. I was starting to feel shut down. She didn't indicate at the time she had any issues with the discussion in the article. I told her this would help me feel more relaxed and open. For example, if two people disagree about something, and they just keep stating they want one thing while the other person wants another thing, oftentimes what helps get past that stubborn wall is to validate someone's feelings, even if you disagree with them. There is an example in the article near the end, but that may go something like this. I recognize you are wanting X, and I see that this is important to you and that you feel frustrated. But right now I need to take care of my needs. She didn't see why she should validate someone if she disagreed with them. She said, "But I don't think that they should be frustrated in that situation. So I won't tell them I see that they feel that way." So I decided to try again some other time. Recently we had a discussion and this topic was brought up. She told me she is uncomfortable about the example in the article and the examples I gave because it feels like manipulation to her. Because of that, she has felt a little distant from me. And no matter how much I tried to explain that while yes, some people can use validation to manipulate people, it is a communication and relationship skill that is healthy and not manipulative unless people have bad intentions. My wife shows love and affection toward me still, but she is hesitant when I validate her emotions, especially when I disagree with her on something. She said she had no issues with it before until I gave her those examples, and now it has caused her to feel a sense of discomfort. I feel like I just lost a huge part of my wife. She used to be much more open and vulnerable with me, and now it's different. I really want to fix this, but I think the more I try, the more it would reinforce what she is feeling. One final note. She suspects she is mildly autistic, but is not diagnosed. So I can understand how she may not see the need to validate emotions she doesn't agree with. And I am okay with that. I still wanted to try to help her understand, because when I'm feeling shut down, I'm not sure what to do. Based on all this, what should I do? Do I just stop the validation, which is genuine? When I disagree with her and avoid trying to show her it isn't manipulative, how do I manage my expectations when I hope she will try to assure me she understands my feelings when we disagree on something? Edit. I've been at work all day. There was no time to even read the comments. I skimmed through and thanked a few people, but it's very difficult with my schedule to reply to every person. Thank you to those who are trying to see it from the autism point of view. I kept the original post as to the point as possible because I didn't have much time. But to be clear, I don't talk like a robot in real life. Yes, she has trauma. She has been rapped many times, and her mom is a legitimate narcissist, which certainly doesn't help her point of view that validation is manipulation. I know there is a request for examples, but I think that counseling would be an ideal option, and I would rather have professional people help guide both of us at this point. Thank you. Now for a few comments before the update. Some people do not work well with traditional methods like this, oftentimes because they have been abused by it, whereas other people do not have a problem with the concept, but the way it is phrased to them does not make sense. Like when someone uses soft, flowery, pop psychology language like validation, it feels to some people like scheming, condescending, and manipulation. Whereas if you say, "Look, I need you to see where I'm coming from," they get it quicker. Unpopular opinion, but there is not enough information here to say if you are the jerk. Are you frustrated, just as an example, because she habitually late and disrespectful of your time? Or are you frustrated that she disagrees that you should not have to do dishes? There has to be room for rationality and critical thinking and validation, or else it is just subservience. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments and insights on my last post. It's been a tough month. So, things escalated quickly after our last talk about validation. My wife started acting really distant, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe she was still upset about the whole validation thing, but it turned out to be something else entirely. One evening, she sat me down and confessed that she'd been keeping a secret from me. She'd been in contact with her estranged sister, who she hadn't spoken to in years because of family drama. Her sister was going through a rough divorce and needed support. My wife had been helping her out financially without telling me, worried I'd disagreed because of our tight budget. This hit me hard. Not just the secret, but the fact that she didn't trust me enough to tell me. It forced me to make a hard choice. I could get angry about the money and the secrecy, or I could try to understand her position and support her decision. I remembered the time she stood by me when I made mistakes or needed help. It wasn't easy, but I chose to support her. We talked about our finances and set some boundaries to ensure we wouldn't end up in a tough spot because of the extra financial help she was giving her sister. But then, another news dropped. Her sister wanted to move in with us while she got back on her feet. Our place is small, and the thought of having someone else live with us was overwhelming. I was worried about our privacy and space, but I could see how much it meant to my wife to help her sister. We argued about it for days. I felt like my needs were being pushed aside, and she felt like I wasn't being supportive enough. It was a mess. But then, I remembered the article I'd sent her about validation. I tried to use it in our argument, telling her I understood why she wanted to help her sister. But I also needed to make sure we were taking care of ourselves. It didn't go over well. She accused me of using her own tactics against her and said it felt manipulative. That hurt. I was just trying to communicate, but it backfired. In the end, we compromised. Her sister would stay with us, but only for a month. And we'd all sit down and discuss ground rules and expectations. It was a tough decision, but it felt like the right thing to do. The month was rough, privacy was non-existent, and tensions were high. But we got through it. Her sister found a job and a place of her own, and things started to get back to normal for us. Through all this, I learned a lot about my wife and myself. I realized that sometimes you have to put your own feelings aside to support the people you love. And I saw that my wife, despite her struggles with validation and her past trauma, was capable of incredible kindness and generosity. We're still working on communication and how to handle disagreements. It's not perfect, but we're trying. And I think that's what matters most. Thanks for sticking with me through this update. It's been a rough ride, but I'm hopeful for the future.